Good morning. Hello. Oh, come on. I can't see you because of the light, so you have to tell me you're there. Hello? Morning. How is everybody this morning? Yeah? Pretty good? You okay down here? Yeah? Everybody okay over there? Upstairs? Woo! Hello. My name is Ben Hammersley. I'm the editor-at-large of Wired magazine. Wired magazine, if you don't know, is a magazine in America and England and Italy which is about the future. I am from the future, and in the future we have made PowerPoint illegal. So you'll notice I don't have any slides. We have the death penalty for anybody who uses PowerPoint in the future. So just so you know. Next thing that you speak at or give a presentation at, no slides. Very important. So I have a message for you from the future. And that message is very simple. We won. We won. Yes, indeed. Look around you. Look at all the people that you're with. Look at yourself. And think back maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago when you were at school. Now, maybe not you, but certainly the people next to you, they were the nerds, right? They were the geeky ones. They weren't the cool ones. No? I mean, look at them. Terrible, right? But now, we win. The geeky ones, the nerds, we're in charge now. That's why there are a couple of thousand of you here in this conference. There aren't a couple of thousand of the people who are good at sport or the popular ones at school, because they're off being boring somewhere else. But you guys, you won. You run the world now. And you're here for the next, yesterday and for the rest of today to learn all of the new ways of running the world. All of the new ways of building new technologies and building new businesses in order for you to keep being the best people in your country. This is a really amazing opportunity because we find ourselves now in the second decade of the 21st century with the world being changed every day by technology, and by that technology being changed every day by us, everybody in this room. If you read the news, all of the revolutions that are happening in North Africa and the Middle East, they're all revolutions that are happening because of the internet and because of the web. And the web and the internet is being built by us. So suddenly, we find ourselves in a new situation. We can be using the internet to sell more brands, to make viral videos, to practice your HTML5 skills, to be chasing Twitter followers, or Facebook friends, or Foursquare check-ins. Or we can be using the web to change the world. And it's now our job to do that. Because the people here are the only people who understand how the internet works. And if the internet is the place in which all of these new revolutions are happening, and we're the only people who understand how the internet works, then I'm very sorry, but it's now our job. It's our responsibility. Now, how has the internet changed the world? Well, think back. Think back 30 years. 30 years ago, the people in this country would have been thinking up of ways to kill the people in my country, and the people in my country would have been thinking up ways to help the Americans kill you guys. But the world was very simple, right? There was one side and there was another side. And there was no internet. And things that happened in one country would stay in that country, really. And things that would happen in another country would stay in that country over there. And why would this happen? Well, because countries are defined by distance. It's always been like that, actually. If you think of a country, what is a country? What has made a country a country? Well, for thousands of years, a country was defined by distance, by how far away everybody else was. You knew that you were Lithuanian because you were here, and everybody else was over there. I knew I was British because I was here, I was over there, and everybody else was over there. And because you were here and you were surrounded by people, you all talked to each other, and over thousands of years, the individual culture changed and became Lithuanian. And over here, all the Brits, we all sit together and we talk to each other and we invent cricket and the Beatles and Shakespeare. And we do this stuff here. And the distance between the reason that we are British, that I'm British and that you're Lithuanian and we're not the same people is because it was a long way from here to there. You had to get on a horse and ride the horse, and then you had to get on a boat and row the boat for a long time, get all the way around Scandinavia, come up. It's a long way, right? So countries are defined by how far away they are from each other for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But over the past few decades, the distance between these countries has changed. Of course, we had trains, and we had planes, and we have fast cars and things like that, which made the distance smaller. But now what we have is a communications network, which means that the distance between Vilnius and San Francisco is maybe 0.01 milliseconds. Maybe a bit slower. Maybe a lot slower, depending on your bandwidth. The distance between London and Bombay, or between Japan and the rest of the world, is the time it takes for that signal, for those packets to get from one city to the other. And this shrinking of the world has completely changed the way that we have to operate, the way we have to work, the way we have to live in the future. Because now we start to see countries being made inside the internet. You guys here probably have more in common. You have more friends who live in other countries than you do live here. There are certainly more people in San Francisco who understand what you do than people who live on your street who understand what you do. How many people here have a job that they can't explain to their parents. Exactly. But how many people here have, of those people who just put their hand up, are there people online you can talk to? Yeah, everybody, right? I mean, if you have a job that you can't talk to your parents or online about, then you must be doing something very strange. You're just not Googling hard enough, maybe. And the problem, the parent problem, is a bit of an issue. Because our parents, people in their 50s and 60s and 70s, are the people who, because they're that old, are the people who are running the world. The elites, the political, the economic, the social, the cultural elites, are people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Yeah? How old is the president? She's what, 25? No? She could still kill me, so you know. She's younger than she looks. Man, that's the bad way around, isn't it? So we have a problem, right? We have a problem because the elites, the old guys who are in charge, don't understand the world that they are running. We have trusted our future to people who don't understand our present. And this is a big problem in every country. Let me explain why. If you're 55 today, and you're the CEO of a big company, or you're the president, or you're the foreign minister, or you're head of a bank, or whatever it is, head of a record company. If you're 55 today, most of your life was lived pre-1990. 1990 was a really big year, right? I mean, you guys had a big party in February and March. That was kind of a thing. And then on Christmas Day 1990, Tim Berners-Lee turned on the first web server. So in 1990, the world suddenly got very, very weird. And the world got very weird for people your age. People your age who'd grown up in a pre-internet occupation world. Their thinking, their way of thinking about things was pre-internet. Over the next 20 years, from then to now, the world has only got more and more strange. Geopolitically, we went from having two sides, a big bipolar world, to there really being only one, to there being many, to there being a big cloud of strangeness after 9/11. And right now in Libya and the Middle East and North Africa, the strangeness is getting more and more strange. The old guys who run the world look at the things that are happening today and say, we just don't understand this. Hosni Mubarak, the president of Egypt, if you'd said to anybody in the world on the 1st of January that Hosni Mubarak would be out of power in 6 weeks' time because right now somebody is starting a Facebook page, then everybody would have laughed at you. It would be the stupidest thing they'd ever heard. The amazing thing, of course, is that's what happened. And it's what happened in Tunisia, and it's happening in Yemen, and it's happening in Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, and maybe even Libya as well. We have an increasingly strange world. And the people in charge of it don't understand what's going on. And the reason they don't understand what's going on is because they grew up in a time which was completely different. They grew up in a time which was hierarchical. Everything was in a pyramid. You would have somebody at the top and everybody underneath them. And you would fit into the system in a particular place. And you would hope to move upwards and hope to not move downwards. But you would know where you were in society, and you would know where you were in work and in your social life. Everybody knew their place in the hierarchy. It's the same in every country. Lithuania, England, wherever. Pre-1990. The web comes along, and the web says, actually, no. Anybody can do this. There is no hierarchy. You don't have to ask permission to publish online. You don't have to ask permission to start an internet business. Facebook went from 1 user 7 years ago to 600 million users today. And Mark Zuckerberg didn't ask permission from anybody to do it. He didn't need a license. He didn't need a permit. He didn't need his boss to tell him it was okay. He just made the thing. And is now incredibly rich and incredibly powerful. What we've seen in the past 20 years is the birth of a place where you don't have to ask permission to do something. The hierarchy has gone. And for you guys, for everybody else in this room, that's really natural. That's really natural. Nobody here has ever thought of asking permission before they blog something, or asking if it's okay before they upload something to YouTube or write something on Twitter. And for you guys, it's a special thing. But for people who are maybe 12 or 13 or 14 years old, the very idea that you would have to ask permission to do something online is completely stupid. Completely stupid. But for people in their 50s and 60s who are running the world, the idea that something doesn't have to be in a hierarchy, the idea that you can do something without permission, the idea that people of our age don't care about those hierarchies is completely strange. It goes against everything that they've ever thought. It goes against the way they were taught to think. We've been talking, many people have been talking about what are the big problems that face internet users and internet developers over the next few years. What are the big problems that we as a group have to deal with in the next 5 years? And some people will say we have to deal with mobile telephony, or some people say we have to deal with the iPad, or some people say we have to deal with HTML5 against Flash, or we have to deal with viral things, or gamification, or one of these buzzwords. This isn't true. The thing we have to deal with is the fundamental problem that we're in charge now. The thing we have to deal with is that if we're not in charge, the people who are in charge just don't understand the world. And there are people younger than us who hopefully are at school today, though I doubt it. There are people younger than us who are asking us to do something very, very important. They're asking us to be the translators. They're asking us to teach the people who are in charge the fundamental differences between the worlds that they grew up in and the world as it is today. You saw Peter Sunde yesterday from the Pirate Bay. And the Pirate Bay is a very good example of the new reality. And the music industry and their reaction to the Pirate Bay, or the movie industry and their reaction to the Pirate Bay, is a very good example of the old guys not understanding. Fundamentally not understanding. Every single industry that the internet has touched, it has destroyed. The internet is like Godzilla. The movie industry. Dictators. Everything it touches, it breaks. And when it breaks it, it's our problem to rebuild it, to rebuild those new industries. Because the old guys just don't think in the same way. So I want to set you a challenge. I want to give you homework. I want to give you something to do when you go away from here. It isn't to go away and learn HTML5, although that's very cool. It isn't to go away and learn jQuery, or to think about viral videos, or to consider your transition path into the tablet future. Your job is to go away and think about what it is that makes your business or your thinking new and different and interesting. And think about the way that your parents and the leaders of this country, and the leaders of the world, and the leaders of the businesses around the world, think about the way that they think. And when you think about those two things, you'll realize that the old guys don't understand today. And so for the sake of your future, for the sake of tomorrow, your job, as people who've been doing this for a long time, is to go to those old guys and explain to them. Explain to them what is going on. You can't anymore just say, hey man, it's the internet, it's going to break everything, yo. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough because those old guys aren't going to die yet. Modern medicine is a bitch, right? They might be in charge for another 10 or 20 years. And so we can sit here and, the government doesn't understand the internet. Or record companies don't understand the internet. Or the travel industry doesn't understand the internet. Well, they don't understand the internet because we haven't told it to them. And we're all, people talk about the digital natives, like the magical 14-year-olds who have never known anything other than the internet. Yeah? You know what I mean? Like the 12-year-olds who've got 5 mobile phones and an Xbox and 4 blogs and yeah. We're not those guys, right? We're halfway between the two. We're sort of the dirty half-breed type things. So it's our job to translate what those kids are saying to the old guys. Because when those kids grow up, they're really going to start messing with things. So my challenge to you is to go from here, find the most clueless old person you can find, whether it's your boss or your dad or the president of the country, your mum, or all three, maybe. Whether it's your boss, your dad, or the president of the country, and explain to them what you've been talking about today and yesterday. Explain to them what your job means. Show them what you're capable of doing online. And when they can't take it anymore, show them again, and show them again, and show them again, until they understand that the world has fundamentally changed. Because the future depends on the rest of the world understanding what we in this room understand about the internet. The future depends on it. And the future is where we're all going to be living for the rest of our lives. So go from here and explain all of this weirdness and help everybody else out. Thank you very much. Good luck. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah? We can. Wait for the microphone. There's one microphone. You don't need to shout, dear boy. Hello in the front row. Ah, technology. We love it.
Do you hear? Oh, yes.
Hello.
Thank you for a great speech, inspiring one, but I was thinking about explaining to the old guys what we're doing here today, but the main thing is that those who I was talking to, they don't want to know what's going on.
They don't want to know.
They don't want to know. They say, don't show me this. I'm used to do things like this, and that's the way I'm gonna die. What would you suggest? How could we persuade them to open to the new age? Thank you.
Okay, how do you persuade people? You can show them Angry Birds. Just give them Angry Birds for like, a week, and then at the end of it they'll be like, oh. No, I think there, of course, that's a problem, right? That there are some people who just go, I don't care. We have to make sure that those aren't the people who are running anything. If it's the president going, I don't care about the internet, then we have a problem, right? If it's just some farmer, I don't know, whatever, perhaps doesn't matter as much. But I think that the technology world has been very, very bad at talking about technology. If you pick up a magazine, a technology magazine or a newspaper, and you see the advertisements for PCs, right? It's always like a spec document. It's always specifications. It's like, this comes with 5.75 gigaflops of binky banky boo, and it has a hard drive made of jam, and it's super fast, and it's, yeah. Of course, that's really boring. It's selling features. It sells the features, but you shouldn't sell features. You should sell benefits. So you can say to people, instead of saying, yes, the iPhone 4, it's got an A4 processor in it that runs at 15 megaflops, and it smells of cheese, and it's amazing. It doesn't smell of cheese. Well, okay, maybe a bit, but instead of that, you can show people technology and say, this is cool because it means you can make phone calls around the world for free. So Skype is a good example, right? You can talk about Skype. The first thing you say is, you can make phone calls for free. You can, video calls for free, and you can wave at your friends who've moved to Berlin. Huh? But then, after a while, when they're cool with Skype, you can whisper to them, have you thought of the implications of free international phone calls? You know, and just leave a little, like plant a seed in their minds, you know. And then after a while, they'll start to think about it and start to get it. You know, have you thought about what it means if digital files can be copied infinitely without losing fidelity and DRM doesn't work? And then you just leave it there, and you're like, okay. And then after a while, a clever person will sit there and go, DRM doesn't work, and digital files can be copied. Copyright is dead! You know, so you can just do little seeds, plant little, and you know, you plant a little seed, and then a tree will explode. That's a metaphor that stops after a while, isn't it?
Ben. Hi. Lovely talk. Thank you. Isn't translating the world for the people in charge who don't get it another way of asking permission? How about taking that energy, taking that time, being more actively involved in the process so that we get them out of there, and then we actually start running the show?
No, I agree with you. Right. So the question, yes. I think you just have to be realistic. Unless you want to have another revolution, which are usually quite messy and painful and sort of expensive, unless you want to have another revolution, you've got to face the facts that the people who are in charge are probably going to stay in charge for at least another 5 or 6 or 10 years, right? Like I say, they don't die quick enough. And now you can do something about that, right? But that tends to get you into trouble.
Surely there are other ways instead of just killing them. I mean, we could actually get involved in the democratic process.
Of course, yes. Yes, you have to get involved in the democratic process and you know, and all of that sort of thing, absolutely. But
or just kill them.
Or just kill them, yeah. He came to Eastern Europe and incited rioting. Shit. I'm never going to get past the airport, am I? Yeah, and no, of course, but you just have to be realistic about this sort of thing and just say, well, okay, you know, some of the people here will want to stand for Parliament and want to be involved in politics, and fantastic and good for them, but that system will always be there. Now, the balance of power will shift, and eventually, all of those old guys will be dead, and all of you guys will be in charge, and everything will be great, right? Fantastic. But in the meantime, we have to make sure that the people who are in charge now don't make really bad mistakes, which limit our abilities going forward. You know, you should always, always leave yourself with more options. Whenever you make a major policy decision, right? Leave yourself with more options going forward. And I think there's a very strong danger, for example, in this year, of governments working out ways that they can turn off the internet. Do you remember? You remember when Egypt turned off the internet a few weeks ago, and it was incredibly shocking. They turned off the internet? Holy shit. That's really bad, right? And now, you know, when they turned off the internet in Libya, people were like, oh, they turned off the internet. Oh, yes, they always do that, yes. We have to make sure that they can't turn off the internet in Lithuania or in England or in the States, because the governments in all of these countries are all trying to work out ways to do it, because for a government it will be a really cool thing to be able to do. But we don't want to be in that situation ever. And so we have to start working now to prevent the guys who are in charge now from doing bad things, which will mean that we're in trouble in 10 years' time, something like that. Thank you all. Off the back there. There's 2 really bright lights, and so
Hi. So my question is, what's the main difference between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0?
branding. Oh dear. Web 3.0. Web 2.0. There isn't, frankly. I know. Tim O'Reilly, when he invented the idea of Web 2.0, his whole thing was that Web 2 was the web where there was a lot more user interaction. You know, it was user-generated content, and it was, you know, instead of it being websites, there were web applications and things like that. If you were going to say there was a Web 3, then I suppose Web 3 is the realization that the internet is the platform on which we run most of our lives. It's the realization that our countries, our lives, our countries, our businesses, our culture, everything is so interconnected and interlinked with the internet that turning it off is not the same at all as knocking down the TV tower over there and bringing down, you know, state television. You knock down the TV tower, you know, businesses still carry on. We can still get onto Facebook. You know, it's all good, right? Nobody cares if you knock down the Web 1 TV tower. You knock off the internet for a week, everything falls apart. I mean, you wouldn't be mayor of your local cafe anymore because Foursquare had reset itself. You know, you'd lose friends, and it would be a nightmare. No, I mean, the internet is the platform on which we've built all of our lives. And so Web 3, I think, is the realization of that and starting to take it more seriously than just, you know, here's a cool little app which you can upload stuff to. It also means there'll be less rounded corners on everything. And vowels will come back into the names of products.
Hi. Hello. I have a question about this branding thing. What does 0.0 has to do with it? Why can't we just call it Web 3 or Gender Third Web or something like that? What does this 3.0 thing?
We can call it anything we like, my friend. It doesn't really matter. Let's call it Web.
Cool.
Web,
Amazing.
You know,
Awesome.
Web Plus. Web Cool. Yeah, Web Awesome. Web
cool.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, I'll
Yeah?
clarify. Thank you.
Okay, is this a decision? Have we made this decision now? It's not Web 3, it's not Web 2, it's Web Awesome. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Hashtag Web Awesome. Oh, I can feel it coming on. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not HTML5, it's HTML Awesome. Cool. All right. It's a meme. We'll start it here. I guarantee if we start it here today, if everybody tweets about it, cool. Everybody tweets about it, there'll be a Web Awesome conference in San Francisco in about 6 months' time, run by somebody else. Oh yeah, I've been in Web Awesome for a year now. We were Web Awesome even before Web Awesome. We were in Web Awesome beta. Oh. Okay. Quick, everybody to the Twitter. Come on, chop chop. We're starting a meme. Do we have any more? Anybody else? Over here, over here. I can just see like a shadow. It's like zombies in the back. Oh, brains.
Hello.
Hiya.
I didn't hear the whole talk, but what do you think about e-democracy?
E-democracy?
There's quite an issue these days in Lithuania about elections and so on. What do you think?
Oh, what, about voting online?
Mm-hmm. And maybe something around.
Oh, well, you know, stuff like that, yeah. I think, well, to be honest with you, I mean, I love technology, right? I am a technologist, it's what I do. I think for voting, the best technology ever are pieces of paper and a pen, because it's quite difficult to lose voting boxes full of votes. It's really easy to fiddle electronic voting machines. I wouldn't trust electronic voting machines in an election ever, but I would trust pieces of paper and a pen. That's just me. In terms of e-democracy, I think that's just part of the same thing as web awesome, right? You have this, see, I used it. See? We're using it in conversation now. So the whole point of web awesome is that we're living our lives linked together with the internet as a platform. It's the basis on which we put all of our lives. And so it doesn't matter if I'm for or against e-democracy. It's just democracy is a thing that happens in our lives, and our lives happen connected to the internet. You know, so it doesn't matter whether you're for or against it. It's like e-shopping. No, it's not e-shopping, it's just shopping. You know, e-commerce is going to stop being called e-commerce very soon and just become commerce, because it's not different. It's just the same as everything, other types of commerce. And maybe, you know, when we saw in the American presidential campaign 2 years ago, you know, the famous Obama, online campaigning, and everybody thought that that was amazing and woo, and new and different. I think the next elections that we see over the next few years, the internet playing a part in it won't, you know, web awesome will just be obvious. Keep using that word, everybody. We're going to have a conference in San Francisco. Yeah. You know, you see what I'm saying? I think, yes, of course, in the same way as we'll have everything. You know, the bit of it just falls away after a while. In the same way as we don't talk about, you know, telephone democracy. Bye. Oh. So handsome. We don't talk about, you know, telephone democracy or television democracy. We just talk about democracy, because the platform becomes invisible. Web awesome becomes invisible. And maybe the next thing after web awesome, you know, what we would previously have called web 4, web awesome, web awesomer, web awesomist, will be, won't have a name, because it won't need to have a name, because it'll just be like the atmosphere. You know, it'll just be life. So we're going to go from web 1 to web 2.0 to web awesome, which is where we are now, to just life. As long as we do our job and make sure that people get out of our way. One more question.
Okay, I'm going to come back to this democracy thing. Right now we have not a direct democracy, but a representative democracy.
Yeah.
But basically what Web Gorgeous can make...
Web Gorgeous? Ooh. I don't know, I kind of like that better.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, all right.
So basically what Web Superb can make...
Oh, stop changing the name, man, seriously.
But it's so awesome. It's a new way of branding, actually. So
yeah, okay, cool.
So what it can basically make is allow the direct democracy when we don't need physically to be at the same as to make decisions. So basically, it can make the concept of voting irrelevant. Thank you.
No, it won't. And it won't because just because you have a tool that makes it easy to do it, doesn't make it a good idea. And direct democracy generally is a bad idea, because generally, and I'm not saying you or anybody in this room, but generally people are stupid, especially when they're in a crowd. Right? And so the problem that we have is you have to have a natural pause And a natural sort of, okay, everybody calm down. Now let's think about this for a little bit. What are we going to do? And the problem with direct democracy is that you usually have the most reactionary, the loudest, the most irrational, the most, the least sophisticated arguments win right at the beginning. And I'm sure you can think of times, things that have happened in this country, and I can think of things that happen in my country, where something happens and the whole country for maybe 3 days goes, "Bah, kill them all," or whatever, you know? And if we had direct democracy, then you would end up with very, very bad social policies. Very bad social policies. You need to have that break. Just because you could do it easily with an iPhone app doesn't mean that it's a good idea to do it for your society. It works in very small groups. You know, it works in houses and maybe in student, like 10 people. But once you get above 20 or 30, you know, once you get into anything that's very large, direct democracy you always end up with a bad decision. Always. So, yeah, you could do it technologically. I mean, think of many ways you could do it, but socially it's probably a bad idea. You know. I mean, what you need is somebody on stage like here saying, "We're going to call it Web Awesome." Who votes for me? Rather than everybody voting for their own thing. So a little bit of leadership is a good idea. At least that's what 3,000 or 4,000 years of democratic political philosophy has said. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Because generally people are stupid, especially in crowds. You know, a football crowd of 20,000 people is as clever as the stupidest person in it. Generally. It's not 20,000 philosophers. You know, you don't get 20,000, you don't get them, all of their intelligence added together. You get all of their intelligence taken away from each other. Maybe it's different in this country. There's one more question at the back there, and then I think I'm being thrown off the stage. Right there. Or somewhere over there. I saw a hand waving. There you go. Oh, 2 questions.
Kur yra klausimas? Tai gerai.
Yeah.
Okay, so generally, if internet helps come people together and make crowds, so does internet make us more stupid or more clever? Thank you.
Sometimes. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sometimes it makes us really stupid. Kitten pictures. You know. Anonymous can do some really stupid things, right? If you gather together lots and lots of people, sure, they'll do stupid things. But the internet also allows you to gather together the 10 people who are the big people in the 10 people that you want to work with. And it doesn't matter anymore where they are on the planet. Before, if you wanted to do something with 10 people, you had to bring those 10 people together and put them in the same room. If you wanted to build Wikipedia without the internet, you'd have to take a couple of thousand people, put them into a big building, lock the door, and tell them to write the encyclopedia. It will be cruel and unusual. You know, all of the major projects, all of the major internet projects like Wikipedia, all of the great things that have happened because of the internet have been made by people who are spread across the planet. So the value isn't gathering together 500,000 people. The value of the internet is to gather together 5 people. The value is to gather together the 50 people who will make Firefox. not to gather together 50,000 people who'll shout at each other for a bit. Now, sure, you will get those big groups forming, and they will try to be bad. But that's the price that we have to pay for the ability to gather together the small groups of people who will be really good. It's just the price of freedom. It's the price of democracy. It's the price that we have to pay for innovation. But sure, of course, there is the risk that the internet will make us a little bit stupid in some ways. But it also makes us incredibly clever in others. You cannot imagine how totally amazing it would be to go back 10 years with an iPhone 4. Or 20 years. If you went back 20 years with this device and you said, yeah, you see this? Through this screen, I can access all of the knowledge in the world. I can use this to talk to satellites in space, and it'll tell me where I am on the planet to within 30 centimeters. I can dial in a number, and I can talk to pretty much anybody on the planet. And I can play Angry Birds. And this costs, comparatively nothing compared to, a 10th of the price of a car or something like that, or a 20th of the price of a car. These things are fucking amazing. The internet, the thing that we've made in the past 10 years is fucking amazing. So, but, it has its downsides as well. Those damn pigs, for one.
One more question.
What? Oh, we have one more.
One more and last.
One more, and that's it, yeah? Yeah, I'm being told off now.
Hello.
Hiya.
Thinking about the future, you said that we don't have now to ask permission to do something, and the old man don't understand what are they doing now. But thinking about the future, we will be in that position. Then younger come and say, you don't understand what you are doing now.
Yeah.
So I think that there are 2 points that need to be mentioned. One, that you said that we have to change the world now, and the other thing that we just have to remember that the time comes and the younger says to us, and we have just let them do what they have to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador for Web Awesome.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you very much.